Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto was had cursed of overpoweredness and sent to DxD? Movie.
Enter Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki, the hero of the elemental nations, the most unpredictable ninja, and soon to be the first man to taste the Ichiraku special 10 million Ryo ramen, sat eagerly as he waited for his ramen to be served. Now the question here is obvious. Who would spend 10 million Ryo for a ramen that can be bought for 9,999,500 Ryo less? Well, Naruto would, but not for reasons one might think.
Tucci, the owner of the ramen stand Naruto has frequented since his childhood, has been planning to expand his ramen shop for some time now. However, he still lacks the finances for it, and wouldn't you know it? He needs 10 million Ryo. Naruto, a noble heart who wants to give back to Tucci for all the free ramen he got over the years, offered to shoulder the fee. Tucci agreed, on one condition: to serve Naruto his most ambitious ramen concoction to date. This leads us to the scene in front of us. Tucci carrying a massive bowl of ramen exuding an unusual aroma that somehow brought tears to Naruto's eyes. Tucci smirked at the sight. It seems that the magic never fades, and Ichiraku ramen remains number one. What are you waiting for, kid? Dig in. Tucci urged Naruto after he placed the bowl on Naruto's table. The kid, in question, grabbed the special chopsticks Tucci provided and uttered a small prayer. "Itadakimasu," Naruto exclaimed as he began to eat. Not even 5 seconds later, Naruto dropped the chopsticks that he was holding and said, "This is the best ramen I've ever had, old man."
Chuki heartfully laughed at the validation and just watched his favorite customer greedily eat the ramen. "That's right. You're not gonna be able to finish that in a minute, kid. I made sure of that," the ramen chef thought as he remembered all the times he had to cook multiple miso ramen at once just to sat Naruto's abyss of a stomach.
A couple of minutes later, Naruto finally finished the massive bowl of ramen and let out a rather loud burp unapologetically. Instead, the blonde opted to rub the back of his head and smiled goofily at Tucci, who instead of smiling back at the kid, had eyes as wide as saucers. "Naruto, why are you glowing?" Tucci asked. A puzzled expression etched on his face. Naruto's transformations are widely known following his exploits in the last war. This one, however, was new. Naruto was glowing plain white, somehow particle-like in nature. This, however, was not noticed by the blonde. "What do you mean? What is glow?" Naruto managed to say before he suddenly vanished in front of Tucci. "What just happened?" Tucci said to no one in particular. "Glowing, old man," Naruto said before he blinked twice, having noticed that he was no longer inside Ichiraku's but rather, inside a room that was definitely not his or anyone that he knew, for that matter. "Naruto, where the hell are we?" a loud, booming voice asked. This was Kurama, the Kyuubi no Yoko, a tailed beast sealed inside Naruto on the same day of his birth. Kurama is also the most powerful of all the tailed beasts sans the Jubi, as well as the most arrogant. He and Naruto had a rather turbulent relationship for the first 16 years of the latter's life, but now, Kurama serves as the much-needed foil to Naruto's more immature traits. "I don't know either, Kurama. One thing's for sure, I don't sense anyone's chakra, or at least, the chakra that I'm familiar with," Naruto responded. Normally, he would be freaked out over something like this, but there was a rather odd sensation within him that made him feel like everything is just fine. "I think I can explain this," Naruto Dono, a feminine-sounding voice said. "Who was that? Are you a G-ghost?" Naruto subconsciously took a step back as he sensed no one else in the room aside from himself and the tailed beast sealed inside him. For him, the only answer was that he was being haunted by a ghost, and Naruto is terrified of them. Suddenly, a golden glow appeared in front of Naruto, and out of it, an ethereal feminine figure emerged, sporting a rather irritated face directed at Naruto. "I find that to be a little insulting. I'm a fine maiden, not a ghost, thank you very much. But going back to my point, you, Naruto Uzumaki, have been transported to this world for one purpose: to create world peace." That ghost responded, annoyance clear in her tone after being mistaken for a ghost. "Not that I have any problems with creating world peace, but what about the elemental nations?" Naruto asked. It was a very valid point raised by Naruto. After all, peace is still relatively new for the elemental nations, and he is very much aware that for now, it is his existence that is making other nations obliged to be at peace with one another. If word got out that he is no longer in Konoha or in the elemental nations in general, who knows what would happen? While the old Naruto would naively assume that everyone would play nice, all the lessons he's been receiving from Tsunade and Kakashi made him realize things. While eventually, peace would be the norm, the world is still in the recovery phase where everyone still has to get used to the new status quo. Oh, worry not. After you complete your mission, you will be transported back to your original world and only a week, at most, will pass. That's a little too convenient, don't you think, Kurama? Naruto telepathically said to the fox, who grunted in agreement. You think? The fox sarcastically responded, before sighing. But it's not like you have any choice. It's not like you can travel in between dimensions like that annoying Uchiha. Kurama added. The duo then heard a giggle coming from the same mysterious voice. Of course, it's going to be convenient. After all, I'm asking you to save this world. It's only fair that you get a little convenience, right? She said. Wait, you can hear what Kurama and I talked about? Naruto asked. Of course. After all, I'm a divine being like no other. I can hear your thoughts no problem. Unfortunately, supreme divinity like myself cannot directly interfere in the affairs of the mortal realm. That's why I, the supreme goddess, $%, ask you, Naruto Uzumaki, to save this world from its inevitable doom and create peace as you did in your world. The now revealed supreme goddess said. Well, you know damn well that I will do my best to bring peace to any world or die trying. But, how exactly am I going to save a world that doesn't even know me? Heck, I don't even know anyone, TT Ibeo. Naruto responded, raising two valid points to the supreme goddess. Naruto has only been able to help foster peace in his world through bonds that he established over the years. In this new world where no one even knew someone like him existed, it would be rather difficult to do just that. After all, would you actually feel like trusting an unknown variable with power that's beyond your understanding? Probably not. Oh, no need to worry about that. Crafting a fake history of you wouldn't be a problem for me. Now, Naruto Uzumaki, do you accept my mission of saving this world? The supreme goddess once again asked after reassuring Naruto. What happens if I don't? Naruto asked. Then I will send you to a world where ramen doesn't exist. The supreme goddess joked, but she sounded too serious that it led to Naruto paling in horror upon imagining a world without ramen. I'm just kidding. Well, I'll just send you back to your world, no biggies. It's just sad because, in my 14 million different visions, this world only stood a chance when you're sent into this world. The supreme goddess said with a sad voice. Hook, line, and sinker. Well, if you put it like that, why the hell not? I will bring peace to this world, and you better hold onto your word, supreme goddess. Naruto declared, a smirk etched on his face as he pointed at the supreme goddess, who giggled in response. Very well. Now, allow me to bestow upon you all the knowledge you need to establish peace in this world. After saying this, the supreme goddess rhythmically waved her arms around, and upon the chant of bestow, Naruto glowed for a couple of seconds until the glow vanished alongside the supreme goddess. What a troublesome goddess you've run into, brat. Kurama said, shaking his head out of the sheer ridiculousness of the situations Naruto gets into. Naruto grunted in agreement and then proceeded to inspect the room he found himself transported to. He has not exactly gotten the chance to do so after everything that transpired over the last 30 minutes. Upon inspection, it seemed like the goddess has planned out everything from identification documents, to clothes, to money, to even ramen cups in the closet. The blonde is more than ready to forgive the supreme goddess for transporting him to another world. Well, I guess I at least deserve to have things finally go my way, Naruto said. Damn right. Kurama exclaimed. Naruto, what was that noise? Have you been masturbating? Fufufu, a feminine voice asked. EHHHHHH. Turns out, Naruto was transported to a country called Japan, more specifically, to a city named Kyoto, the territory of the yokai. Naruto had to give it to the supreme goddess as it was a smart idea to put him in the same place as other beings that are able to use chakra. However, it was a different form of chakra than what he was used to. That was why he initially thought he was put in a chakra-less world. The chakra in this world was unrefined compared to that in the elemental nations, proving itself to be inferior to what Naruto was used to. Moving on, the supreme goddess made it so that Naruto is seen as a fox yokai, amongst the most powerful ones at that, being a kyuubi. The irony wasn't lost on the blonde, given his childhood wherein the village thought he was the incarnation of Kurama. The difference was that, in this world, at least in Kyoto, the Kyubis warrant absolute respect from everyone, which made Kurama very happy for obvious reasons. I'm thinking you should stay in this world, Naruto. This is definitely paradise to me. Bahahaha, Kurama would say on multiple occasions upon witnessing just how revered a Kyubi is in Kyoto. In the 3 weeks since he has been transported to this new world, Naruto honestly couldn't complain much about his situation. Living in Kyoto was looking like his much-deserved break after how hectic the previous 12 months had been for him. But if he's being honest, what he cherishes in this new world was the family the Supreme Goddess gave him. Naruto is currently living with his aunt, Yusaka, and little cousin, Kuno. While he can do without Yusaka's constant teasing, he appreciates the affection he's receiving from the leader of the West Yokais. Kuno, on the other hand, was a complete angel. If only Konohamaru was this adorable, I would appreciate little siblings a lot more. Naruto would tell Kurama when Kuno does something that Naruto found adorable. Now, Naruto's quick adaptation to this new world would normally be strange. After all, how exactly do you come to terms with being forcibly taken away from your world wherein you have created peace, right? But then again, this was Naruto Uzumaki, who stands at the pinnacle of all optimists. While he was not sure the Supreme Goddess would make good on her promise, Naruto sees no reason to mope and not enjoy the new world he was in. After all, it's not like he cannot return to his own world on his own accord. A week after he was sent to this world, he tried summoning the toads, and to his joy, he can still summon toads in this world, which means that if he wanted to, he can be reverse summoned back to Mount Myoboku. For now, it seems like the goddess wasn't lying because the toad he summoned was surprised when he told him he has been in this world for a week. Turns out barely a minute has passed by since he got summoned to this world. What a convenient situation. Naruto then asked the toad to send a message to Kakashi and Tsunade, informing them that he would be gone for a week because he definitely needs a vacation. The blonde felt bad about lying to his mentors, but it was definitely better than telling them he was in another world to fight strong people and create peace. Oh, Tsunade would definitely maul him if she found out. You know she'll eventually know, you dumb brat, Kurama told Naruto, who shrugged in response. That's something that won't happen for a couple of years, so he paid it no mind. Currently, Naruto is in his room meditating to better process all the information sent to him by his clones after they were dispelled. While Naruto was definitely enjoying life in Kyoto, that didn't mean he rested on his laurels. While the Supreme Goddess supplied Naruto with all the things he needed to know, he's not as naive as to assume that he knew all the factors that can affect his mission. There are always unknown factors, just like Black Zetsu, who for the most part, has manipulated the entire history of the shinobi world. Naruto used his clones to gather information all over the known world and was surprised at some of their findings. For one, it seems like chaos is already brewing in the world, one that has the Judeo-Christian factions in the middle of it, but oddly enough, they seem to just be pawns in a much larger scheme, orchestrated by the Chaos Brigade, supposedly led by Ophis, the infinite dragon god. Only that Ophis was not exactly plotting for world domination. The dragon seemed content allowing her minions to do whatever they want as long as they help her get rid of the Great Red. I guess dragons just don't care about anything not related to their goals, huh, Kurama? Naruto telepathically said to the fox, who grunted in response. Bah. You can probably just kill them all and be done with it. We're here to bring peace, not become villains. TCH. You're boring. Naruto decided to cut Kurama off their link for the time being. It seems like the fox was very eager to battle in this world upon knowing how stronger he was compared to almost everyone in this world. The blonde guessed that losing to him and being almost enslaved by Sasuke still hurt the pride of the fox. After all, he was beaten by 2 teenagers within the span of only a couple of months. At least, when Madara did it, he was already a fully mature adult. Aside from the Chaos Brigade, it seems like many other forces are moving as well. Whatever their goals may be, Naruto doesn't know, but if it comes to it, he'll end it before it can jeopardize his mission. He has to play it right. The fact he's somehow the strongest being in this world doesn't mean he can just subjugate everyone. True peace means establishing a common understanding that everyone can get into, not forceful submission. Strength does help though, in making people more willing to listen. Naruto wondered if creating peace in this world would be harder than what he did in the elemental nations. This world is too deeply rooted in culture and tradition that he anticipates opposition to any changes that challenge the status quo. If you were to ask Naruto, nothing is wrong with an agent of the church falling in love with a devil, and vice versa, but in this world, it poses a challenge to the balance it desperately needs to maintain, and in the case of Claria Belial and her lover, they were killed just because of love. The blonde could only hope that he'll be able to make everyone believe in peace, or at least, most people. The blonde was interrupted in his musings after hearing a knock on his door. "Ruto ni, mother has called for you." The cute childish voice of Kuno made itself known. Naruto chuckled and opened the door, and was greeted by a young girl with golden, blonde hair tied in a ponytail and matching eyes. "Hello, Kuno-chan. How's your day?" Naruto greeted the young fox yokai, patting her head much to the girl's pleasure. "Oh, it's going great. Mother and I trained so hard and I think I can beat you now, Ruto ni," Kuno bragged, pointing to the bruises on her arms and knees as indicators of the training she just had with her mother. Hi, I'm sure you will. But do something about your bruises first, okay? I'll talk to Obaa-chan now," Naruto told the girl, who giggled upon hearing how he addressed her mother. "She's going to punch you again if you keep calling her that, Ruto ni," the girl jokingly warned before heading off, presumably to get her bruises healed up. Naruto looked at the retreating figure of Kuno and smiled. She was just so adorable. "Yusaka's office. What do you mean I'm going to school, Tte Bayo?" Naruto exclaimed, eliciting a burst of ladylike laughter from Yusaka. It's been a couple of minutes since Naruto entered Yusaka's office and it started off calmly, with them exchanging pleasantries and drinking tea. Yusaka then told Naruto that she wants the blonde to do her a favor, which he immediately agreed on. After all, what's the worst that could happen, right? Turns out, Yusaka wants to enroll him in Kuo Academy, in the Devil Territory governed by the heiresses to the Gremory and Sea-Tree houses. The reason for this was simple. 2 weeks after Naruto was transported to this world, he came clean to Yusaka and told her of his disposition and what his mission in the world was. A conversation that happened because Yusaka stumbled upon Naruto letting out all the 9-tailed beasts in small animal forms. The blonde didn't mind Yusaka finding out because it was not like he wished to hide things from her for a long time. Yusaka, after finding out that Naruto was actually from another world sent to save the world, promptly fainted upon knowing the said fact. Upon waking up, the leader of the West Yokai faction committed to helping Naruto's cause, much to his joy, which led us to the situation at hand. The yokai leader figured that if Naruto wanted to inch in closer to his goal of creating peace, then he has to begin making positive relationships with powerful individuals that can help out in his mission. Fortunately for him, in Yusaka's opinion, the siblings of the Leviathan and Lucifer Satans are currently living in Kuo, a territory the yokai leased to the devils. What better way to gain the trust of two Satans than being trusted by their siblings, who they've been known to be overly protective of, right? For one, the sisters of the Mao Lucifer and Leviathan are studying in that academy. Those Maos have shown to be very caring of their little sisters. If you can win their trust, then obviously, the Maos would have positive opinion of you. Yusaka responded to Naruto, who was currently slumping on his chair. Besides, what are you being grumpy about? I'm not exactly telling you to properly study, I'm just advising you to gain the trust of the heiresses. Yusaka laughed, after realizing what led to the blonde's outburst. The blonde in question sheepishly rubbed the back of his head after hearing what Yusaka said. Well, if that was the case, then there is no harm in going to school, right? What a moron, Kurama quipped. Wanna say that again, ya dumb fox. I said you're a moron, Mo-ron, shut up. Yusaka, upon noticing Naruto zoning out, coughed to get his attention. Well? Yusaka asked. Hee, you do have a point, Obaa-chan. Naruto replied before Yusaka sent a glare his way. You best remember to not call a beautiful woman such as me, with such a disrespectful name, Yusaka protested. Naruto raised his eyebrows and said, aren't you like 300 years old or something? Shut up. Just for that, you're going to Kuo tomorrow, Yusaka said as her glare narrowed further at the blonde. Your loss, then. You wouldn't be able to ogle me if I'm away, you pervy Obaa-chan. Naruto quipped while sticking his tongue out at the annoyed Yusaka.
Yusaka coughed on her sleeves before standing and walking towards Naruto. The busty fox then leaned down, giving Naruto an eyeful of her chest, and then cupped his cheeks with her hands. Fufu, It's not my fault you keep training topless, Naruto. As a woman, it is in our nature to admire fine specimens such as yourself, she said while trailing her left hand over Naruto's chest, causing the blonde to blush.
What the hell are you even saying, Ibeo? The flustered Naruto said as he swatted Yasaka's hand away. Yasaka giggled at her handiwork. That should teach the disrespectful, yet attractive blonde to not make fun of her age. She still got it. Enough about that. Going back to what I was saying, I have gotten the approval of the devils to have you admitted to Kuo Academy. Bear in mind that they'll be a little cautious of you because you're being sent there officially as the overseer of the yokais. But you can handle that much, right? Yasaka said, sending a rhetorical question to the blonde, whose stories of turning bad guys into allies were unbelievable. Of course, I can. Who do you think you're talking to, Ibeo? Naruto grinned at Yasaka, who couldn't help but share the blonde's smile. Things have definitely been more interesting upon her discovery that Naruto was an otherworlder. It allowed her to step into lines she normally wouldn't cross. She has to thank the Supreme Goddess or whatever she was called for this blessing.
1 week later, Kuo Academy. Hey guys, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I wanna be friends with all of you and, well, I dream of creating a peaceful world someday. Naruto introduced himself to the class. He is currently wearing a black blazer with white accents over a white, long-sleeved, button-down shirt with vertical linings, a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes, the standard male uniform of the academy.
The class in question clapped at Naruto's introduction, while some were gushing at how handsome he was. Someone even said she wanted your babies. I'm shocked at the females in this world, Naruto. Matabi, the two-tailed cat said. The blonde shrugged, having already known how strange the women in this world were. 3 pairs of eyes, however, had different reactions to Naruto's introduction. So this is the yokai overseer. He's powerful, peaceful world, huh? What an interesting man. Naruto then shifted his eyes to a bespectacled woman with purple eyes, then to a red-haired woman with blue-green eyes. These were the devil heiresses who governs Kuo, Sona Citri, and Rias Gremory. Naruto sent both women a grin before sitting down at his assigned desk. Hours later, Naruto's home classes were as boring as Naruto expected. He questioned what was the point of all the boring lectures that do not provide students with the practical skills they need to survive. But, it's not like he cares much about it. He can already do plenty without school, thank you very much. Now, Naruto is staying at the rather large house provided to him by Yasaka. The yokai leader merely said that other people may be living there one day. Who knows? By other people, she probably meant herself. Not that he minds, it's her home anyways.
Naruto is currently waiting for his guests. Earlier, he extended an invitation to the devil heiresses to discuss certain matters with him. With his status as the overseer of the yokai, the devils had no choice but to indulge him. Hopefully, the devils aren't worried much. After all, his plan was just to let them in a little bit on what he plans to do.
Thank you for indulging me in my invitation, Rias Gremory and Sona Citri. Am I right to assume that these are the rest of your peerages? Naruto said, glancing at the devils behind Rias and Sona. Indeed, they are members of our peerage, Naruto Uzumaki. Now, may I ask why we were called here? I believe we have not violated the agreement we had with the yokais. The cold, stoic voice of Sona Citri said. Naruto raised a hand in response. Calm down a little, Citri-san. I'm not here to antagonize the devils. But I suppose I have to properly introduce myself to everyone, my bad. Naruto grinned at the devils, who were still unsure what to make of the blonde. Hello everyone, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, an overseer representing the West Yokai faction of Kyoto. Say, what do you guys think about world peace? If talk no jutsu fails, kick their asses. Naruto smiled after recalling how his conversation with the devils went down. Rias was rather lively and very affectionate towards her servants, which he respected, and while Sona had a stoic disposition, she was a kind master. He can imagine just how surprising his question could be. After all, the devils came into his home overthinking about his intentions and all he wanted to ask was, what do you think about world peace? A philosophical question that the devils least expected but one that needed to be asked. After all, he is well aware that devils were stereotypically seen as the incarnation of evil itself, and while he knows that's not often the case, he needs to know where these devils stand in this matter. Rias and Sona, to their credit, were able to get over the question real quick and provided answers Naruto liked. I believe it is wonderful. If all species are at peace, then we can just live life as we want, Rias answered. Sona, on the other hand, had a more methodological answer. Peace allows all species to thrive and further themselves. It is a noble concept, but it would be hard to attain. With that said, Naruto told the devils that he was serious about his dream of creating a peaceful world and wants to establish a genuine friendship with them to show that people can cooperate no matter the species, one that happens unconditionally. It may be a foreign concept to the devils in front of Naruto, but he had done it before and he will do it again. Not that he'll tell them he's an OP isekai protagonist or something. He knew about the isekai cliché after Kuno asked him to watch anime with him, which the little fox yokai got a little pissed about because the isekai had a fox yokai as a villain. As much as possible, only Yusaka can know about him being an otherworlder. Now, his devil guests were seated at the dining table being presented with the food Naruto prepared for them. It was, of course, ramen because what else could it be? Well, what are you guys waiting for? Dig in. Naruto urged the devils to eat up. Everyone, sans Sona, began to eat their food. I don't really like ramen, Sona blankly said. Naruto's face morphed into a look of horror after hearing what Sona had said. For him, it was blasphemous. Who in their right mind could not like ramen? Try it. Sona. It's show, oh good. Rias exclaimed while slurping on the noodles. As a Japanophile, Rias loved everything Japan, and that included ramen. Amongst all the ramen she had tried, she has to say that Naruto's ramen was by far the best she had ever tasted.
Ah, don't be like that, Sona. Hey, how about I feed you, so you'll know how good it is? Naruto couldn't help but tease Sona, who sputtered incoherent words in response. For the blonde, her stoic disposition makes her an easy target for him. He always liked catching stoic people off guard, especially that bastard Sasuke.
Sona coughed and began to calm herself down. Does this blonde idiot not realize what he was doing? The sea-tree heiress thought to herself as she sent the grinning blonde a glare. I can eat by myself, Uzumaki-san. Thank you very much. Sona then picked up her chopsticks and started to eat the ramen, if only to stop Naruto from teasing her. She blew air on the steaming hot noodle before eating it, and seconds later, her eyes widened. This is so good. What did he do to this ramen? Sona thought and began eating the ramen with more vigor. I knew you'd turn back to the right path, Sona. Naruto nodded to himself as he patted Sona's shoulders. The blonde then headed to his own seat and began eating his own ramen in a more dignified manner. As much as he'd like to gulp the ramen in an instant, he has to show the devils proper manners as the host, a lesson he got from Tsunade, much to his annoyance. But in this instance, those lessons definitely paid off. Dinner was then a quiet affair outside the small talk about what Naruto did in Kyoto and how both heiresses were handling governing a territory, something like that. By 9 p.m., the devils bid Naruto goodbye and thanked him for the meal. Rias was asking if she could come again just to eat ramen, much to his amusement. Naruto then decided to let the 9-tailed beasts out in their small animal forms, and had his clones pick up 9 bowls containing the favorite foods of all tailed beasts. How these mass constructs of chakra were able to eat, Naruto doesn't know. They're a fun bunch, weren't they, Kurama? Naruto asked Kurama, now in the form of a cute, little 9-tailed fox with bunny-looking ears. A bunch of weaklings, that's what they are, Kurama responded. Now, don't be like that, buddy. They can be helpful diplomatically, Naruto said and stroked the fur of Chibi Kurama, who protested at being treated like a pet. I wonder if the cat girl were able to sense us. She was looking at you rather intently, Matabi said, noticing the petite, white-haired Nekosho in Ria's peerage. Kaneko, was it? She probably only sensed the potency of my chakra. With how strong I am now, it'll take a strong sensor in this world to even detect that there are other presences within me. Nothing to worry about, really, Naruto replied. Not that I'm complaining at the chance to stretch my legs, but why did you let us out this time, Naruto? Gyuki, the 8-tailed ox asked. Oh, I just want to hear your thoughts on what I'm planning. We're sent here to save this world and well, I think we have already gathered enough information, Naruto said, and all 9-tailed beasts nodded their heads in agreement. Naruto never let his eyes off of his mission, to save this world and create world peace. He had information given to him by the Supreme Goddess and he used said information to dig even deeper and know all the players in the game. It was really child's play for Naruto. He can easily sense negative emotions, with the help of Kurama, and his sensory range proves more powerful these days following all the power-ups he got following the war. By now, he knew where everyone is located and what they do. All he need is a plan, one that won't jeopardize his mission. He couldn't exactly kill everyone who is evil just because he can. There are still ramifications to every death that'll be on his hands. For now, this is the rough map of what he intends to do. To truly evil creatures. 1. Know their sphere of influence. 2. Discern the ripple effect of their potential deaths. 3. When it's safe, begin dismantling them for profit. To misguided creatures. 1. Kick their asses. 2. Talk to them. 3. Hope they repent, and if they don't, 4. Kick their ass again. Naruto wasn't as naive as to think he can save everyone. There are people with sins so revolting that what they deserve is the feeling of helplessness and despair that they seem very happy to give to their victims. Naruto then shared his rough plans with the tailed beasts, who agreed to his plans. To them, if one is the most powerful creature in the world, they can do whatever the hell they want. Might is right, is a principle these tailed beasts believe in. Well, that, and they don't think Naruto is going to do anything evil anyways. So, where do we start? I'm thinking of meeting this old devil's faction. If I finish them off, it'll curry me some favor with the current Maos, Naruto said. As long as we get to see you in action, we honestly do not care. Kurama, helpfully, said. Well, it might be a little too soon to dispose of them. Maybe I'll go and meet these Team Valley people. I think these kids can still be reformed. Naruto thought out loudly. Stop your musing and just go kick some ass, Kurama told Naruto. Alright. What are you? My mother, TT Ibeo. Naruto told the annoyed fox. Unknown location. Team Valley didn't know what the hell had just happened. At one moment, they were involved in fighting a group of yokai, and then a couple of moments later, they saw themselves face to face with another yokai. This time, a fox yokai exhibiting enormous power. The other members of the team were sweating at the sheer pressure the blonde man's presence brought. Valley, on the other hand, was elated. As a battle nut, all the Lucifer descendant wanted was to fight strong people, and that opportunity presented itself with the man in front of him. Valley, you're seriously not considering this, right? The voice of Albion, the vanishing dragon, said. The blonde man approached Team Valley and spoke. So why the hell are you guys in Chaos Brigade? How do you even know that? Valley asked. I just know. Okay. I'm Naruto Uzumaki and my goal is to create world peace. Naruto introduced himself. Era. World peace? That's not as easy as it sounds, you know? A feminine voice replied. Naruto looked at her, and saw what he knew to be Kuroka, one of the 2 remaining Nekosho, and a stray devil who murdered her master who planned to experiment on her little sister. Of course, it's not going to be easy. Peace, after all, is a complicated concept in itself, but it is the best, he replied. There was a long pause, as Team Valley didn't know what to make out of Naruto. I don't really care about peace. All I care about is fighting strong opponents, something I can get with the Chaos Brigade, Valley replied. You can fight strong people without being part of a terrorist group, you know? Naruto had a deadpan expression on his face upon hearing Valley's reasoning. Yeah, whatever. Are you here for a fight? Valley asked, his eagerness for battle hardly restraining itself. Are you sure that's what you really want? Well, I'll fight you on one condition. If I win, you guys leave the Chaos Brigade. And maybe I'll play with you once in a while, Naruto said. I just brought myself another annoying thing to deal with, didn't I? Naruto thought in realization. Valley was a battle nut, and he'd be relentless in wanting a rematch. Very well. I accept your conditions. Let's fight, Naruto Uzumaki, Valley replied. Naruto sighed as he formed a spiraling sphere on his hand, and the rest, as they say, is history. 2 minutes later Naruto gazed at the fallen figures of the members of Team Valley. He had to give it to Valley, he had the spirit, just not the direction. Naruto was a little disappointed, however, as he expected Team Valley to at least make it entertaining for a couple of minutes. He finished the fight within 30 seconds, with each member of Team Valley being hit with a Rasengan and an Uzumaki Naruto barrage. They never saw it coming. Do you think this was worth your life, Valley Lucifer? Battles are invigorating, but they cannot sustain what the spirit craves. One of these days, your thirst for battle will end your life. But it's not like you have to change your ways. You're not a bad person, aren't ya? Naruto smiled at the seething half-human Lucifer. As helpless as Valley was against him, the man actually moved in an effort to save his comrades, having the power of the Rasengans he sent to all of them. Not that those blows were going to kill any of them, but Valley did not have the time to think of that. Shinobis fight very quickly. They do not allow their opponents to gather the time to think calmly and counter their moves. That's how deadly they are, and for the same reason, was why Shinobi Wars never lasted long. If Valley had the time to think, he probably would have lasted longer than he did. The divine dividing was a total cheat tool, Naruto had to say. You're lucky it's me you ran into. I'm just here to teach you, unruly kids, a lesson. Naruto smiled at them. The blonde internally cringed at his monologue, however, since this was not how he does things. But hey, talk no jutsu does not work on battle nuts who want to fight. Might as well just kick their asses and allow them to reflect. On the bright side, at least Team Valley would no longer be under the employ of Chaos Brigade. They'll just be a group of battle junkies challenging all sorts of strong people they can fight. Naruto was cut off from his musings when Kuroka spoke. Hey, make kittens with me, NYA, the Nekosho said, catching the blonde off guard. What the hell was this woman saying?
Naruto stared at Kuroka, his mouth gaping at the suddenness of her words.
No one has ever beaten me that quickly, so you are definitely super strong. My race is almost extinct aside from Sharon and I, NYA, so how about it? Wanna help me rebuild my race? Kuroka continued. Naruto ignored her and looked at Valley with a look that said, is she like this all the time? Valley understood the unsaid words and gave Naruto a nod. Well, it's not like the concept of procreation was foreign to him. He did make good on his promise to Shien, that one time, and looking at Kuroka, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe in the future. I still have lots of things to do right now, TT Ibeo, Naruto said, as he mentally patted himself on the back. That's right. He can choose if he wants to do it or not, because he did not make a promise. Naruto Uzumaki never breaks promises, after all, and his answer gave him leeway on that. Kuroka beamed at his answer and began to cling to his arm, much to everyone's lack of surprise. It was Kuroka, after all. Did he just agree to it? Arthur Pendragon said to his sister Lefay. He did. Lefay responded, amused at the scene in front of them. That's one less pain in my ass, I guess. Valley thought to himself as he looked at Kuroka and Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Valley said. Naruto then broke free of Kuroka's grip on him and looked at Valley, who faced him with a serious expression on his face. You're by far the strongest individual I've ever fought. I will honor the conditions of our fight, but that doesn't mean this is the last you'll be seeing of me. Valley finished, with a determined look on his face. Hopefully you last longer than 30 seconds the next time I see you, Naruto said. That's what she said, Biku said, drawing Valley's ire over his juvenile joke. Oi, that's not very nice of you, monkey boy. You barely lasted 10 seconds, you know. Well anyways, I have places to be. Remember to be good, okay. See ya. Naruto waved Team Valley goodbye before disappearing in a puff of smoke. As Naruto disappeared, Valley cracked his knuckles while walking towards Biku. I will have fun kicking your ass, Biku. What was the point of all that, brat? Kurama said. For the fox, there was honestly no point in his confrontation with Team Valley. From the get-go, he can see that those kids barely had any interest in world domination and only wanted to fight strong people. In his mind, there's nothing exactly wrong with that. I thought it would be fun. Who knows? They're probably more useful as allies later on than pesky opponents. Naruto responded. Currently, Naruto was walking across the streets of China, looking to snuff out another group of unruly children. This time, Naruto knew it'll be more troublesome than Team Valley. After all, he's going to deal with a bunch of human supremacists with misguided objectives. This group in question was the hero faction led by Cao Cao, a descendant of Cao Cao from the legends. While on paper, the hero faction had a noble goal of protecting the interests of humanity, they had a black and white perspective in the world, where they believed that anything that wasn't human was evil. Naruto supposed that it's normal to fear what they don't understand, but it's not like they're a bunch of powerless humans, These are people carrying Longinus-level sacred gears, or at the very least, born into strong bloodlines. Naruto would probably let them go if not for him finding out that they would abduct humans with sacred gears and manipulate them to follow their machinations. Ah, that's probably them. Naruto thought to himself, sensing at least 5 notable signatures about 30 kilometers to his west. Unknown Forest Cao Cao was having a routine day if he has to say for himself. Training humans to exceed their limits, slaying some evil creature lurking nearby, and drinking a bottle of wine. So far, so good. Right now, it's about 2 in the morning and he's about to call it a night. That was until a blonde-haired man appeared in front of him. You guys are the hero faction, right? The blonde asked. Cao Cao eyed the strange man and nodded. That's right. Who are you, and why do you know about us? Cao Cao replied. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, here to deliver a message of, be good children or risk Naruto Uzumaki giving you the ass-kicking of a lifetime. Naruto replied before he disappeared, and reappeared in front of Cao Cao, shoving a blue spiraling sphere to his gut. The other members of the hero faction present gaped at the display in front of them. These were Georg, Jean, Heracles, and Siegfried. The 4 did not have the time to react as Naruto gave to them the same courtesy he gave Cao Cao. 5 minutes later, like earlier with Team Valley, Naruto gazed at the fallen figures of the hero faction. They put up a better fight, but unlike with Team Valley, Naruto did not feel the need to be nice to them. There was a philosophy that engaging in battle allows you to look straight into the soul of your enemies, and indeed, Naruto felt that way. The hero faction was headed to a dark path, one that he cannot tolerate. Heck, he went a little too hard on them that at the moment, only Cao Cao was conscious, albeit heavily beaten up. Protecting humanity from the supernatural is a noble goal, but are you guys actually succeeding? Heck, are you guys actually moving with the interest of humanity in mind? Naruto rhetorically asked. What do you even know about protecting humanity? Cao Cao replied, gritting his teeth upon being easily beaten by the man in front of him. What made the defeat more insulting was the fact that Cao Cao knew the man was holding back by a lot. To be beaten with a handicap was a massive blow to his pride. I know plenty about it. After all, it is my plan to create a peaceful world where every race and species coexists and I will do whatever it takes or die trying. Ibeo. Naruto replied. A peaceful world where everyone coexists. Don't make me laugh. Humanity has suffered enough from the supernatural and it's time we fight back against beings like yourself. Cao Cao scoffed at the idea Naruto presented. Like hell, the supernatural world would play nice with humanity. Beings of tradition would not allow themselves to see humans as equal, and normally, Cao Cao would be right in this assumption. And brainwashing people for your cause is a good idea? The greatest threat to humanity is not the supernatural, but rather humanity itself. Humanity has been so devoid of power that upon somehow reaching great power, they eventually forget what they really are, and turn into beings more twisted than the supernatural. Do you think you're doing humanity a favor? People like you are the reason why humanity is constantly being exploited. Naruto said, staring a hole into Cao Cao, who shuddered at the pressure emanated by the blonde. By no means am I defending the supernatural. The vilest creatures, after all, are amongst them. However, unrestrained hatred over an entire group of people never leads to anything good, rather, it fosters the cycle of hatred that consumes everyone. Heck, that's the main reason humanity has been involved in countless wars. Not all of humanity is good, just as not all supernatural creatures are evil. What we need is to understand one another and to see everyone in equal light. This then creates a peaceful world where everyone gets along, and where no one is exploited. It's a wonderful thing, is it not? Naruto smiled at no one in particular. The peace cultivated in the elemental nations was a byproduct of everyone gaining a mutual understanding of one another. What an idealistic fool you are, Naruto Uzumaki, Cao Cao replied. Be it as it may, but it's way better than whatever it is you're planning. I don't think you're evil, Cao Cao. There is good in you, however, it is channeled negatively. Hatred begets hatred, and this path you're trying to lead humanity into, would just further plunge it into chaos. Naruto reasoned. Cao Cao had an unreadable expression on his face. Naruto Uzumaki, much to his annoyance, was beyond him. The blonde came in, kicked his and everyone else's asses, and gave him a life lecture. The worst part? Naruto was not exactly wrong. Idealistic, yes, but not foolish. And how exactly will you create a peaceful world? Cao Cao curiously asked. Naruto put a finger against his chin and then said, by kicking plenty of ass, getting people to get along, and making them realize just how much better a peaceful world is. Cao Cao fell on his face after hearing his answer. What a simplistic way of going around his plans. Is this guy an idiot or something? Like hell would everyone just get along with what he's planning. Oi. I don't like that look on your face. It's not stupid if I can pull it off. Naruto glared at Cao Cao, whose face screamed out, is this guy for real? Well anyways, I think you have plenty of things to reflect upon, Cao Cao. I'll leave you be for now and hopefully, the next time we meet, you'll finally have a proper goal. Or else, I'll kick your ass even harder than what I just did. See ya. Naruto said to Cao Cao as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. What an interesting fellow. But I'll be damned if I allow myself to be beaten that easily again. Just you wait, Naruto Uzumaki. You may have given me a lot of things to think about, but I'm not letting you get away with beating me that easily. Cao Cao thought to himself. Cao Cao, what just happened? The groggy voice of Jean was heard. Cao Cao lifted his head and looked at the night sky. I don't know either. But change is definitely coming to this world, he replied. 2 weeks later, Underworld Naruto looked at the 3 fallen bodies in front of him.
Unlike Team Valley and the hero faction, however, these were cold, dead bodies. Ones belonging to Shalba Beelzebub, Cateriel Leviathan, and Kryuzuri Asmodeus, leaders of the old Satan faction. These devils were vile beyond belief, and for Naruto, they do not deserve a second chance. The old Satan faction wasn't a group of misguided individuals, these were people who desire to plunge the world deeper into chaos for a pointless war they were probably going to lose.
The best part? They never saw it coming. Naruto simply approached them and killed the 3 in one blow. Creatures in this world have been terribly weak. These were supposed to be descendants of the original Satans, Kurama said in disappointment. Or, we're just too strong for them to deal with. Naruto countered, and the fox couldn't argue with that point. The way you're going at it, you're probably going to bring peace to this world in a month, Gyuki said. It's not that easy. Killing these evil people is the easy part. The hard part would then be convincing all the factions and pantheons to work together towards peace. Naruto replied. I wonder if your mission has become easier or harder. Killing scheming creatures would make it less likely for the factions to unite and work together, does it not? Gyuki pointed out.
You're probably right, but what's the point of power if we let evil roam around freely? Naruto replied, sure it'll be more complicated politically if there was no reason for all the factions and pantheons to unite, but would he be any better if he'll just allow innocents to be taken advantage of? But Naruto would have to concede certain points to Gyuki. After all, he probably wiped out most of the evils lurking in the underworld, not just the old Satan faction.
His victims ranged from Diodora Astaroth to even the Greek death god Hades. Yeah, he definitely went overboard. At this point, only Rizavum Levon Lucifer was the major evil power left in the underworld, and that's because he wasn't in the underworld at the time Naruto went on his elimination spree. Now that he thought about it, maybe he can bring Valley with him when he deals with Rizavum. After all, Valley carried an immense amount of hate for his grandfather, something he found out after one of his fights with Valley.
Naruto then grabbed the decapitated heads of the 3 Satan descendants and put them inside a sealing scroll. He's planning to save these heads and present them to the current Satans once he manages to have an audience with them. He has thought of just barging into their office, but he doesn't know if it'll work out the way he wanted, so he'll just bide his time for now. It's not like he's in a battle against time. If anything, he has bought himself a shitload of time with all the evil beings he vanquished. Time he'll use on eating all the ramen he can buy. Naruto believes he deserved that much. After all, he managed to do his job incognito. No one knew it was he who was killing all these devils, fallen, and even gods. The best plans are often simple. I realized something that probably would have made everything easier for me, Naruto said, suppressing the urge to palm his face at the late realization he had. And what is that? Kurama asked. That fallen angel Kokabiel is planning to attack Kuo, specifically targeting the devil heiresses to instigate another great war. This is literally my key to forcing a meeting between the Judeo-Christian factions. Think about it. Kokabiel has already stolen Excalibur fragments, so that brings the interest of the angels. Aside from that, he's planning to kill Rias and Sona, which brings the direct interest of the devils, and lastly, he's a cadre of the fallen angels, so they have a part in this too. Naruto said, pointing out the convenience of the situation at hand.
How are you planning to secure a meeting with all three factions? Yuki asked. Probably go to Searzex and tell him about it, then talk to Azazel.
It'll be easier from there, I think. Naruto said. It was a very simple plan that would work because of the personalities of the leaders in question. Searzex would be willing to hear him out, especially since he had developed a positive friendship with Rias since he came into Kuo, and even without that, he found out that the Malucifer would probably not mind if he somehow just barged into his office. Secondly, Azazel was pretty chill, based on the one time they ran on each other. I definitely have overthought this situation a whole lot. Naruto reflected. It's been about 3 months since he came to this world, and while he had already done plenty, i.e. keeping Team Valley and the hero faction in line, his assassination of major players who more or less were safe to kill, and building up positive relationships with the devil heiresses of Kuo, Naruto realized that he was definitely overthinking a lot of his actions since coming into this world.
Well, better overthinking than being lax about the situation, right? That being said, Naruto has a plan now. First, share the plot with Searzex and Azazel. Second, kill Kokabiel himself. Third, hope a meeting between the factions happens. Hopefully everything works out for you, Yuki said. I honestly couldn't care less. None of the beings in this world are worth the time, aside from that dragon who kept following you around, Kurama said.
Ah, that's right. Following Naruto's mini-extermination expedition, the infinite dragon god herself appeared before Naruto. A being, universally feared for her might, honestly is nothing more than a kid who doesn't know how to share.
All she said when she saw Naruto could be summed up in exactly 2 words, join me.
Obviously, Naruto didn't, since it was Ophis group that carried the will of the sinister forces of this world, and obviously, Ophis did not care. It led to their current situation where once in a while, Ophis would be spotted following Naruto and asking him to help her kill the Great Red. Naruto would obviously decline, but Ophis would insist. Then, Naruto ends up fighting her and winning, after which, Naruto leaves her on her own, and repeat.
It was a cycle that Naruto honestly did not mind, but it does annoy him, especially when Ophis pops up whenever he was doing something important. The next time she appears, I should tell her to stop giving snakes to members of the Chaos Brigade. He thought to himself, as he found it annoying to always find traces of Ophis power on the people he kills. And maybe hold an intervention between her and Great Red. They seem to just be innocent, but annoying kids, at this point. Strip Club Naruto was annoyed. How the hell did a conversation over Kokabiel's plot lead him to be dragged inside a strip club by Azazel? It seems that no matter the world, he cannot rid himself of old perverts. Azazel slapped Naruto on the back and laughed at the annoyed teen with him. You've gotta live a little, kid. This is us, celebrating the good couple of months we're having, he said. Apparently, Valley had indeed begun reforming and had been more appreciative of Azazel. Turns out, Valley revealed that his encounters with Naruto have given him enlightenment, which to Naruto's dismay, came following a fight between them where he knocked out Valley with the Harem no Jutsu, Dream Edition. Turns out the Battle Nut had another fetish aside from battle, that being a butt fetish. Naruto had to feel bad about Albion, who he felt was close to tears when Valley started being a little more open about his desires. Azazel took to this development as Naruto being some sort of a godlike figure, making someone like Valley finally understand the wonders of women. The White Dragon Emperor still prefers battle over butt, but another dimension of interest is definitely great. I literally told you how one of your underlings is plotting another great war and you're out here celebrating. What an unreliable geezer you are. Naruto stared at the fallen angel leader with a blank expression. It's not like he'll pose that big of a problem. The way I see it, Kokabiel is a convenient tool that would bring the factions closer to peace. Am I right? Azazel smirked at the blonde, who had to concede with the point Azazel made. Indeed, Kokabiel would basically be a sacrifice to further what both he and Azazel want, peace.
So let loose a little, kid. Celebrate because we are now closer to peace than ever before, Azazel exclaimed while groping the breasts of the attendant assigned to their table.
I'll drink to that. But strippers aren't really my thing, Naruto said and downed some aged whiskey Azazel ordered. Azazel laughed and said, I guess if you see Yusaka for most of your life, you do end up being desensitized to tits.
That's my aunt, you bastard. An aunt who clearly wants you to bang her.
Naruto glared wordlessly at Azazel. He wasn't exactly wrong, but it definitely sounded wrong. Yusaka had been more provocative around him ever since she found out he was not exactly her nephew. While the supernatural world does not exactly frown at incest, it was something that sounded wrong to Naruto, even if he and Yusaka do not exactly have the same blood. Just for that, I'll be throwing Kokebeel's head straight in your face. Ibeo.
A day later, Kuo, the Grimoire heiress, was definitely surprised when Naruto approached her and asked for an audience with her older brother. Normally, Rias would be suspicious of this, but given what she had seen so far, Naruto was a great guy, and if he needed to talk with her brother, it definitely was something important. As a good friend, at least, that's what Rias believes, she agreed, but on one condition: for her to know what Naruto and her brother would eventually talk about.
Naruto saw no issues with that, given how the talk would directly involve her. Now, the shinobi found himself sitting across from Sears's Lucifer, a man who basically looked like a male version of Rias, and currently, the most powerful devil alive. I'll cut to the chase. Kokebeel is plotting to start another great war, and he plans to do so by stealing some Excalibur fragments and killing both Rias and Sona. Heck, any day now, the church would probably notice the Excalibur fragments are gone and head out here. So yeah, he has already begun his plan. Naruto told Sears's, who remained silent before widening his eyes once Naruto's words registered in his mind. What? Sears's coughed into his sleeve and began to regain his composure. He again looked at the blonde and asked, "And how exactly did you come across this information?"
"I came across some rogue exorcist named Fried Selzen, who I interrogated upon capture, and well, until he turned into this." Naruto wordlessly took out his scroll and unsealed the beheaded form of Fried Selzen. It was a half-truth, on Naruto's behalf. With or without Fried, he already knew of this plot, but it was more convenient to just say he learned things from Fried, who somehow wielded an Excalibur fragment when he saw him.
Sears's massaged his forehead as he processed the situation at hand. As much as he wanted to blow Kokebeel to smithereens, he cannot exactly do so, as he would risk his political standing and jeopardize the already shaky status quo between the three factions. "I'm sure you want to kill Kokebeel, but realize that you can't, which is why I come to you, with a promise that I can get the job done, but on one condition: for you to arrange a meeting with the other Judeo-Christian factions to jumpstart peace talks," Naruto said, leading the Mao Lucifer to widen his eyes. "Did you just say peace talks between the three factions?" Sears's clarified. Yup. While Sears's was surprised at the condition Naruto presented, he was not exactly against it. For one, peace between the three factions is among the things that he wants to happen, but at the moment, it was proving to be a pipe dream. There was the Devil Council, who were a bunch of pure-blood supremacists, some fallen angels who'd rather go to war than make peace, and many other factors. But, with what Naruto has revealed, then perhaps there is a reason for peace talks to be discussed. Oh yeah. There's also this group called the Chaos Brigade, whose ultimate goal is to beat Great Red, but they're currently so disorganized that they have different factions operating under various motives, some of it being nefarious. The old Satan faction is, or was part of them. Naruto revealed, before unsealing 3 more heads for Sears's to see. Croisery Asmodeus, Kateria Leviathan, Shalba Beelzebub. All dead. "I need a drink." Sears's knew he was dealing with a powerful individual when he first met Naruto, but you couldn't blame him if he was surprised after what he just saw. Just how powerful is this guy if he managed to dispose of the old Satan faction leaders by himself? The blonde definitely saved him in the underworld from a lot of trouble. "So anyways, do I have your support?" Naruto asked, extending an arm towards Sears's, as he already knew the answer to what he just asked. Sears's stooped up from his seat and extended an arm back towards the blonde, signifying his support of Naruto's plans. "There's honestly no incentive for me to get involved in the affairs of the three factions, but I want peace more than anything else in this world. What better way than to take advantage of the situation we currently have, right? Or at least, that's what I think." Ibeo. Honestly, everyone should just understand one another and stop seeing things from a black and white perspective. Sears's smiled at Naruto. The Mao Lucifer can sense the sincerity coming from him, and it was infectious. Maybe it was actually possible, peace, that is. Naruto was in a good mood, And why wouldn't he be? After all, he was a step closer to ensuring peace between the Judeo-Christian factions. Now that he has the support of both Searsex and Azazel, the hard part is done. All that was left was the easy part, killing Kokabeel. Before that, however, Naruto is currently in his home in Kyoto. While he can definitely kill Kokabeel now, that would have to wait for tomorrow. Today, he will rest, and maybe play with Kuno for a little bit. That was his plan, a slow day. However, it would seem his luck had run out. Yeah, no, I'm not going in my room, Naruto thought to himself as he sensed the presence of Kuroka in his bedroom, probably planning out a surprise to start making babies. While Naruto would normally not mind getting laid, he's not doing it when Yusaka is literally in the same house. That definitely wouldn't end well for him and his manhood. Just give the fox what she wants. She probably wouldn't mind if you did, Yuki said, feeling a little bad about the turmoil the blonde was having. But that's my aunt here, you know. It's a little creepy to think about, even if we're not actually blood-related. Naruto responded. Didn't you get aroused the last time you saw her? Yuki replied. We're not talking about that, Ibeo. That was a moment of weakness, Naruto said. Nope. Not even acknowledging it. But then again, can you blame him? Yusaka was quite literally showing off her body the last time he saw her. The fox asked him to get some books she dropped, and upon picking it up, he was able to confirm that Yusaka went commando that day. Era. You haven't told me you were returning home. Perhaps you were planning to surprise me? I hope you'll be gentle with me, Fufu. The silky smooth voice of Yusaka made itself known to Naruto. Not even a couple of seconds later, the Kyuubi's body was deeply pressed against his back, and Naruto felt every single bit of it. What the hell, Ibeo? Are you looking to give me a heart attack? Yusaka giggled, but it had a dark air to it. So tell me, why'd I sense another presence in your bedroom? You're not doing anything lewd in this home, are you? Hell if I know. I just got here, Ibeo. You can sense people from miles away, surely you'd already know about it. Yusaka huffed, her expression akin to that of a woman who just found out her husband cheated on her. And this is your home, so you'd know if someone trespassed on your home. Nah. I spend all these months catching your attention, yet someone else is on your bed before I even got the chance. Naruto blankly stared at Yusaka, who was sporting a playful look on her face. What was the point of this conversation even? I'll forgive you if you give me a kiss. What the hell? I'm already too tired to even argue, Naruto thought to himself before pecking Yusaka on the lips. The blonde then decided to go downstairs to get himself some water, leaving a stunned Yusaka behind. He actually did it, Yusaka said to herself, her left index finger touching the same spot Naruto just kissed. That day, Yusaka discovered that gestures of affection are definitely her weakness. She's been frozen for like 5 minutes, still touching her lips. A day later, unknown location. Kuo Naruto was now headed toward the fallen angel's lair in Kuo, with a rather disappointed look on his face. How exactly is planting your base where it can easily be detected a smart idea? Naruto thought to himself, as he noticed it was not just him who was headed to the same lair. About a couple of kilometers away from him were 2 women carrying holy signatures. Exorcists perhaps, brat. Just get this thing over already. That Kokabeel is hardly worth your time, Kurama said. That's what I'm doing, Ibeo. Naruto soon found himself looking at the back of Kokabeel, who was seemingly unaware of his presence. Without any hesitation, Naruto's eyes turned into yellow irides and toad-like pupils, and dug his fist straight into Kokabeel's chest, leaving a gaping hole behind. Kokabeel barely had any time to react, only widening his eyes at the suddenness of the attack, before his body went limp, and promptly died. Naruto then noticed another presence to his right, an old man, who if he remembered correctly, was called Valpier Galilei, the person in charge of the Holy Sword Project. Kokabeel-sama. You. Who are you? Valpier exclaimed, falling on his ass as Naruto walked closer to him. Naruto stared at Valpier before punching him in the stomach, making him fall unconscious. Oi. Why did you leave him alive? Kurama asked. Well, I think he'd be a wonderful gift for that Kiba guy in Rias Peerage. Better to help him find his purpose than take it away, right? Naruto said before sealing the bodies of both Kokabeel and Valpier as well as the remaining Excalibur fragments. Minutes later, The two exorcists who were headed toward where Naruto was at were left shocked after realizing no one was in the lair where Kokabeel was supposed to be in. What's even more worrying was the fact they couldn't trace any semblance of battle occurring, aside from blood, which they assumed was Kokabeel's, judging from the many feathers surrounding it. It did not take a genius to realize Kokabeel was massacred. How can someone easily dispose of a fallen angel cadre? Both exorcists thought in horror. Occult Research Club building. Kuo Academy. So Naruto, what's the reason why you requested a meeting only with myself and my knight? Surely, the rest of my peerage can know about what we're talking about, right? Rias asked the blonde, who was sheepishly rubbing the back of his head.
Well, it's because what I'm going to tell you does not exactly concern them. Remember when I asked you to meet Searsex? I told him about the plot of the fallen angel Kadri Kokabeel to instigate another war by stealing the Excalibur fragments and murdering both you and Sona.
Pause. Kokabeel was here? Where is he at now? Dead. More pause. What do you mean dead? Rias asked, her eyes widening at the revelation. Did Naruto kill Kokabeel himself? If so, then how strong is he actually? Rias Gremory knew Naruto Uzumaki to be one of the two known nine-tailed fox yokai, alongside his aunt Yasaka, but considering his age, she figured that while he was strong, he was not this strong. It was hard for her to process what the blonde just said, especially since he looked unharmed. Rias then tried to sense Naruto's power, despite her gut feeling telling her not to do that, and was promptly brought down to her knees. Bucko! Kiba exclaimed, quickly rushing to the aid of his king, who uttered a quiet, "Thank you," to him. The foolish devil tried to sense the extent of your powers, that's why she ended up like that, Kurama told Naruto. Rias stared at Naruto with wide eyes, but it wasn't a look of fear, but rather, a look of disbelief. How can someone so young have so much power? She couldn't even get a proper read of how powerful the blonde is, but she knew he wields incredible power, one that surpasses even her older brother. Yet, it was a power that was not volatile. It was peaceful but incredibly overwhelming. Ah, I apologize for that. That happens when people try to sense me, Naruto said sheepishly. The blonde then retrieved a sealing scroll from out of nowhere and said, but going back to what we're supposed to talk about. Yep, Kokabeel is dead and well, that's where Kiba comes in. How? The blonde knight responded. I figured you'd be able to have your closure this way. Naruto wordlessly unsealed from the scroll the body of Valpyr Galilei, unconscious and tied up. Valpyr Galilei! Kiba exclaimed as he glared at the man who was the source of his despair through the years. Well anyways, you're free to do whatever you want to do with him, Kiba. I'm gonna go get myself ramen. See ya! Naruto nonchalantly said as he exited the building. Rias Gremory just couldn't believe how her day had gone. Might as well contact those exorcists that Kokabeel is already dead. Crap. I forgot to ask about the Excalibur fragments. Rias massaged the bridge of her nose, already foreseeing the massive headache headed her way. 2 days later, fishing docks. Kuo, hey, catch. Azazel heard the voice of Naruto and turned around, only to be met with Kokabeel's head being thrown at him at rapid speeds. That hurts, you know. Azazel complained, his head now sporting a bruise, brought by the projectile that was Kokabeel's head, which was now on his hands. What an ugly mug, the Grigori leader thought to himself.
Azazel looked at the blonde teen in front of him. Naruto, as a Kyuubi, would no doubt be powerful, but it still surprised him just how powerful the guy was. To his knowledge, Naruto has dismantled Valley and his team within a minute and now, just steamrolled through Kokabeel without exerting actual effort. Heck, he has the sneaking suspicion that the blonde was the same guy that killed Hades, a murder that has since been placed on the Chaos Brigade.
Not that he had any complaints about it, not at all. If anything, Naruto was a breath of fresh air. This world needed a man with power who knows what to do with his power. He's not shackled by any status quo, he only wanted one thing, world peace. And Azazel is finding himself to be a believer. What happened to the Excalibur fragments? Azazel asked. While the three factions were more or less aware of Kokabeel's death now, the whereabouts of the Excalibur fragments remained to be a mystery. The exorcists sent by the church were already recalled, for reasons unknown, but if Azazel had to guess, it has something to do with the man in front of him. Somehow, Heaven was already on board with the peace conference, and that had Naruto's fingerprint all over it. Oh yeah, I have them with me. Naruto then unsealed 3 of the 7 Excalibur fragments and laid them on the ground. How the hell are you able to wield those swords? Azazel asked, noticing how easily Naruto held on to the fragments. I dunno. Probably explains the slight resistance I feel when I'm touching these swords, but it's nothing I can't ignore. Naruto shrugged, effortlessly sealing back the Excalibur fragments in his sealing scroll. Azazel looked at Naruto before he felt a tug on the fishing rod he was holding and reeled in. A very small fish. Wow. You beep, Azazel, Naruto dryly said. Hey, it's just a bad day, you know. How about you try? Naruto then grabbed the fishing rod from Azazel and cast the rod. Within seconds, Naruto felt a tug and reeled in a king salmon, which was about 1.5 meters long. How about that? Naruto threw the fallen angel a smug look. Yeah, whatever kid. So, it seems like your plan worked perfectly. The 3 factions peace conference that you envisioned is happening. How did you even get into contact with Michael? Azazel asked. I ran into Gabriel. How did that even happen? I don't know. Lucky bastard. Naruto shrugged. Not the biggest pair of tits I've seen. Azazel laughed at that. The kid always says the most amusing things. It was the best though, Naruto added. Amen to that. Azazel patted the blonde on his back. Indeed, the kid was becoming enlightened. Gabriel had the finest pair of breasts in the known universe, its legend further amplified by her status as one of the Seraphs. That aside, it seems that peace between the 3 factions is looking to be imminent, and both Naruto and Azazel are looking forward to it. Things were finally looking up in this world. One step at a time. Peace talks are easy. It was the day of the peace conference of the 3 factions, an affair that's currently kept only between the leaders of all factions. Perhaps, in another world, it would have featured more individuals, but with the swift death of Kokebiel and everything else that followed, there was no need to involve more people in the peace discussions. That suited Naruto just fine. The leaders of the factions would be more agreeable to the plans he has in store anyways, and the more closed doors it was, the lesser the chance of another group invading their meeting. Currently, Naruto was relaxing in the rather large bathtub in his home in Kuo. Nothing better than allowing water to wash away all the fatigue you feel, right? The blonde leaned back to the edge of the bathtub and let out a satisfied sigh. A couple of hours more, and he'll be able to tick off a checkpoint in his mission. The rest of his bath was peaceful until water suddenly exploded on his face. The blonde was quick to react, thrusting his hand forward to apprehend whoever it was that intruded into his home and on his bathtub of all places. He was then able to get a hand on flesh and proceeded to squeeze it. It was a soft sensation if he has to say so for himself. Wait. Soft? Naruto's eyes widened at this realization. It's a sin to be a pervert, you know? An angelic voice made itself known to Naruto. The woman softly giggled, and if Naruto had to guess, the woman had her hand covering her mouth as she laughed. Naruto's left eye twitched uncontrollably before he whacked the woman on the top of her head. Who the hell teleports directly into someone's bathtub, Datbeo? As the smoke cleared itself, Naruto saw himself face to face with a beautiful woman with curly, blonde hair, and a sinful figure that contrasts the aura of purity she emanates.
This woman was Gabriel, heaven's strongest woman and one of the 4 great seraphs, as well as a clueless girl with an ironic playful streak to her.
I saw this happen in one of the animes I saw. Is this not a normal greeting? Gabriel replied, slightly tilting her head to her left, with a finger holding up her chin. Naruto resisted the urge to palm his face at that explanation. Of course, that was the case. He ought to kick the beep of whoever showed to love Ruto to Gabriel. No, it's not really. Yes, oh. I apologize then. Just get out of my bathtub, Datbeo. Giggle. What now? Your thing. It's showing. Silence. Naruto failed to notice that in his exasperation with everything that had transpired, he stood up and unintentionally showed off his completely naked figure to Gabriel. Of course, with how pure and innocent the seraph was, she saw nothing wrong with what happened. Only amusement. I've had enough of this day already. Naruto thought to himself. He was not embarrassed by what just happened since he was not exactly shy about his body. Rather, he felt drained, if that made sense. All he was looking forward to today was the peace conference of the 3 factions. He definitely did not prepare for Gabriel to imitate Rara Angeluk and for her to see his beep. Just get out, okay? Go wait in the living room, I'll just finish up. Naruto said to Gabriel, who nodded and went out of his bathtub. The angel glowed golden for a second to reveal that she had rinsed her previously wet clothes before exiting through the door. That's a neat trick, the blonde thought to himself. 5 minutes later, as Naruto went down the stairs, he was welcomed by the sight of Gabriel watching something on his television, a box of popcorn in her hands. What are you watching, and where did you even get that popcorn? Naruto asked. Gabriel's head turned in his direction and promptly smiled at him. Sora no Atoshimono. The popcorn. I dunno. I just got it. Of course, Gabriel watched a show with angels in it. Naruto thought to himself. Naruto then took a seat on the couch across from Gabriel and coughed to gain the Seraph's attention. What are you doing here, anyway? Aren't you supposed to be with Michael right now or something? Naruto asked. I just wanted to thank you for aiming to connect all of God's children, Gabriel replied. Gabriel's reply was met with a blank look from the blonde. You just thought of that now? The Seraph giggled. Sorry. Well, I'm just here to watch anime in your home. That's it. Nod. Then why did you have to barge on my bathtub like some lunatic? I just wanted to greet you. You're barely home at all, Naruto. Did you like my surprise? Gabriel innocently asked. How do you even know I'm barely here? Naruto fired back. Since I have to cherish my time outside heaven, I decided to sleep here. Then, I found out about the wonders of television. Oh, thank the Heavenly Father for blessing humans with the knowledge to continue innovating. Gabriel said, closing her eyes as she sent her prayers to her creator. That explains why a lot of the series I'm watching was marked complete. Naruto thought to himself. He found it odd how all the shows he had on his watch list were marked complete when he was barely at home to watch any of the said shows. The culprit to the said mystery was right in front of him. Then, another realization sunk in. Wait, did she just say she practically lives here? Naruto wasn't mad. Gabriel definitely needs to live a life beyond what she experiences in heaven. He just hoped that all the shows she had been watching wouldn't affect her negatively. Even then, it might be a little late, especially with the stunt she just pulled. Not really something to actually be worried about. The only victim of Gabriel's newfound mischievousness would just be him, after all. Something that started with a chance encounter in Italy. Naruto was disposing of corrupt officials of the church when he ran into Gabriel. Naruto braced himself for another fight, given the Seraph just saw his bloodied clothes, but instead, he was met with tears from the Seraph. The reason is that she mistook him for being the reincarnation of her creator, God of the Bible, something she assumed because of how pure the aura of his soul was. Gabriel eventually figured out that Naruto was not the reincarnation of her creator, but the fact that a living being possessed purity at the same level as God made him an interesting figure to Gabriel, interesting enough for Gabriel to constantly tail him around. It was there that a bond was formed between the two. Naruto liked having Gabriel around because she was good company despite her airheadedness, and Gabriel liked being around Naruto because it felt like she was being taught how to live beyond her disposition as Gabriel of the four great seraphs. The relationship was not romantic in nature, but it was a mutually beneficial relationship that allowed them to know more about themselves. In accompanying Naruto around the world, Gabriel bore witness to the relentlessness of the blonde in accomplishing his goals and found herself believing that with him leading the charge, peace in this world was viable. And while Naruto was not above ending lives, he was not killing out of sheer mercilessness. He gave people a chance to prove to him they won't be a threat to peace. If they weren't, he would give them the chance to properly reflect and repent, and if they were, they met a merciful end at his hands. Gabriel admired the balance Naruto exhibited. While it may not be the way heaven would preach, Gabriel realized it's the only way to achieve peace. Heaven, since the death of the Heavenly Father, was stuck in the past. They were slowly being left behind, and if God saw just how bad things are today, he would be disappointed. At least, that's what Gabriel told the blonde. Heaven needs to move out of the echo chamber that it comfortably rests on. And Gabriel hopes that Naruto would be able to bring about that change. It was also this utmost trust in Naruto that made the Seraph more open in expressing feelings she had always wanted to show. Naruto was then cut from his musings as he heard Gabriel call his name. You seem to be deep in thought, she said. Naruto shook his head and replied, not really. I guess I'm just thinking about the peace conference later on. I'm excited about it. Gabriel's eyes gleamed. Me too. Oh, Thank the Lord for giving us an opportunity to unite under one banner, the angel prayed. I wonder how that God would react if he knew it was someone from another world who made it possible, Naruto thought to himself. The big guy would probably just be chill about it, but Naruto would like to imagine that God would be a little stumped because none of his preachings worked in uniting everyone. Forest. Kuo Town office was not happy. That dumb angel was in her territory once again. By dumb angel, she was referring to Gabriel, who was once again in Naruto's home, and this time, with the man himself.
And by territory, Office was referring to Naruto's home.
How was it her territory? Office deemed it to be her territory as she had unofficially claimed Naruto as hers, but of course, Naruto had no idea about this.
After being beaten up by Naruto for the 30th time, 3 days ago, Office had an epiphany. If Naruto did not want to kill Great Red, then so be it. Instead, she had a new plan, to convince Naruto to make an offspring with her.
An offspring that would definitely be the strongest being in existence, no doubt. This time, she will make sure she gets what she wants. And Office is confident about it. After all, she had obeyed Naruto's demand of her to stop giving snakes to members of her Chaos Brigade. He'd reward her for it, right? Yusaka's office, Kyoto. I called dibs first, so I should be first. Go to the back of the line, cat. Nah. You already have a child. I should be first so I can begin repopulating our species. No way. Yes way. No way. Yes way. The two women promptly stood up and bumped heads with one another, and if you were to look closely, it looked like fire was coming out of their eyes. How did this even happen? Following Kuroka's sneaky break-in into Naruto's room, she was confronted by an enraged Yusaka who was mad that the Nekosho found her way to Naruto's bed. Eventually, the two yokai came to an agreement that they were going to share Naruto. All was good in their arrangement as they had made plans on how to effectively make advances on the blonde shinobi, even mapping out situations that they can take advantage of, and exchanging tips on how to seduce him. Then comes the problem. Both women came into their agreement with the assumption that they would mother Naruto's first child and thus, this conflict. I'd be fine with being the concubine, but I will have his babies first. Glare, besides, I'm still in my 20s so we're still around the same age. You should be creeped out by what you're doing. Aren't you his aunt? Oh, bah, Chan.
Fireball to the face. NYA. Kuroka exclaimed before tackling Yusaka to the ground. However, that was the end of Kuroka's success, as Yusaka easily dodged the scratches the Nekosho sent her way. Yusaka then maneuvered herself away from Kuroka and was about to pounce on her when the door to her office was opened, revealing Kuno sporting an angry look on her face.
Hello daughter, is there a problem? Yusaka smiled at her daughter and asked, her hands now gripping Kuroka's neck. If someone's having babies with Ruto ni, then it should be me. Yusaka and even Kuroka's mouths were agape. Both women were questioning if their hearing was still intact, or if they went insane. Kuroka took advantage of Yusaka's obvious distraction and let herself free from her grip. The Nekosho was once again sitting on the couch she sat on earlier. You're 100 years too early to be thinking of having kids, NYA. Pounce. Nice thinking, Kuno. But I will have to punish you later for eavesdropping, you hear me? Yusaka said before pouncing on Kuroka as well. 5 minutes later all three women, yes, including Kuno, now sported bruises all over their bodies. They are currently slouched back against a couch, with tired expressions on their faces. It seems our passion for Naruto is about even, cat, Yusaka said in between breaths. That seems to be the case, NYA, Kuroka replied. Then it's decided. Yusaka and Kuroka looked at each other with sparkling eyes, before both exclaimed in unison. We'll have a threesome. Kuno looked at the two mature yokai as dark clouds hovered over her head, her eyes glued to the massive breasts of both Kuroka and Yusaka. Unfair Opai monsters, the younger fox thought to herself and vowed to save her Ruto ni from Opai monsters like Kuroka and her mother with her cuteness. Conference room. Naruto's home currently. Naruto saw himself face to face with the leaders of the three factions. They were currently in a large room with a round table in the middle, where Michael, Gabriel, Azazel, Seraphol, and Sirzex sat. It was a small gathering, but despite that, it was a gathering of great importance. Naruto then wordlessly cast a powerful barrier over his house. Better safe than sorry. Who knows what nefarious individuals would try to ambush this meeting?
The blonde looked at Michael, and then Serafal, and gave both a reassuring smile. It was the first time he met the two and for obvious reasons, are on their guard. After all, it's not every day that a yokai was able to wield such influence as to force a meeting between all three factions. A pleasure to finally meet you, Michael, Serafal, the blonde said and bowed to the two, who smiled and nodded back at him. The pleasure is all mine, Naruto. My sister Gabriel has indeed been correct in her judgment of the purity of your soul. It gives me the much-needed assurance that this meeting will be fruitful. Michael said and gave Naruto a kind smile. But before we begin the formalities, how about we all share a light meal? Naruto suggested, and upon seeing the nods of all faction leaders, 5 Naruto clones entered the room, each carrying a plate. Clones, all 5 faction leaders thought. Serafal, ever the curious person, pinched the clone assigned to her. Are these solid clones? I haven't seen duplication magic this sophisticated before. The Leviathan Satan said in awe. Yes, they are solid clones. But enough about that, let's eat. Naruto urged. Gabriel's eyes sparkled upon eating a single piece of lasagna. This is so good, Naruto. The angel praised him as she continued to eat, with greater intensity following her first bite. Azazel raised an eyebrow at this display. That's quite unexpected coming from Gabriel. This food should be good, the Grigori leader said and began to eat himself. Michael turned his head to the fallen angel. Gabriel had changed in the most interesting ways within the last couple of months, Azazel. I am elated to see her this way, as she had suffered tremendously following father's demise. Michael said with a smile. Azazel smirked at this and turned his eye to Naruto, who had a bowl of ramen in his hands. Soon, the faction leaders have finished with their food, each giving Naruto their compliments and thanks for the meal. Nay, Naruto-tan, Serafal called, causing Naruto to turn his head to the excitable Mao. Do you want to be my personal cook? This was the best food I've ever had. Serafal finished, her eyes gleaming at the prospect she just proposed. Sirzex, upon hearing this, shook his head. Same old Serafal. Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head and said, maybe once we obtain world peace. Azazel coughed, gathering everyone's attention. Now that our yokai overseer has mentioned it, let's just cut to the chase and declare peace among the 3 factions already. Isn't that the reason we're all here? Azazel asked, garnering a curious gaze from all other faction leaders. While that indeed is the end goal for this talks, this is also an opportunity to tackle all the grievances each of our factions had with one another over the years, Sirzex said, earning himself a nod from Naruto. I admit I was shocked when the Mao Lucifer reached out for an invitation for a meeting between the 3 factions. It is a pleasant development if I have to say so myself. Michael said. Naruto then decided it was time to make his intentions known. As everyone here already knows, I convinced Sirzex Lucifer to arrange a meeting between the 3 Judeo-Christian factions. While that, in itself, is a peculiar setup, there is a reason why this needs to happen. The ceasefire between the 3 factions has always been fragile. It has been a passive-aggressive arrangement that benefited no one. About a decade ago, said agreement had led to the death of Claria Belial and Masaumi Yagaki, in fear of their union disrupting the balance between the factions. All they did was love, Naruto said, pausing to gauge the reactions of the faction leaders. Michael and Sirzex, in particular, held their heads low. While they themselves would allow the two to continue on with their romance, it cannot be helped that other members of their respective factions held a hostile view of one another. Naruto had a point, the ceasefire was not benefiting anyone. Instead, it just made all factions anxious and paranoid about a potential attack. While I am sure that all of you gathered here tonight do not wish for further conflict, it does not remove the reality that members of your respective factions hold deep resentment over the other factions. Just recently, a cadre of the fallen angels, Kokobile, instigated a plot that might have been the start of another great war. He planned on taking Excalibur fragments to Kuo, and at the same time, plotting the murder of the heiresses governing Kuo. Knowing this, I approached both Azazel and Sirzex Lucifer to share my knowledge of this plot, and in those discussions, I found an opportunity, a chance to establish relations between the 3 factions. Naruto finished. I would like to ask something. Naruto Uzumaki, Serafal said, a serious aura replacing her usual childish demeanor. What does a yokai like yourself stand to benefit in the assumption peace between the three factions occurs? Surely, you must have a reason for this. The Mao Leviathan asked. It was a valid question to throw. With how their world functions, unconditional good is somewhat of a foreign concept. After all, this was a world that desperately clung to tradition and culture. Nobody wants to challenge the status quo. Yet, here we are. A yokai, who lives in a world outside of Judeo-Christian influence, instigating peace talks between the factions. That's simple. I just want to bring peace to this world. The world has already suffered enough, and if we have the power, why should we let the world continuously suffer? I sincerely believe that if we have the power to effect change, then we should work toward that. It's a personal creed of mine, Datbeo. I would never give up and I will continue trying until my dream comes true. Naruto smiled at Serafal as he said this. In his months living in this new world, world peace started as a mission given to him by the Supreme Goddess. However, as he spent more time in this world, the desire for peace transcended a mere ordered mission. Naruto wants to make it happen, and he will make it happen. All the friendships he has made in this world, Yusaka, Kuno, Rias, Sona, Valley, Kuroka, Gabriel, Azazel, and even Ophis, amongst other people, has made him more dedicated to building a better world where they are able to live happily and in peace. And I believe that peace between the three factions serves as the first step to making it come true. That is why I am asking you to lend me your strengths and help me with this vision. Surely, all of you want to achieve peace, right? Let's do this. All faction leaders stared at Naruto intently, before giving him a smile. Very well said, my friend. Azazel said as he clapped his hands. Sirzex smiled at Naruto and said, it is indeed an admirable vision that I hope to see come true. I agree with them. Gabriel has already convinced me, but I wanted to see your conviction and your motivation for why you wanted this to happen. Indeed, this is a dream that even the Holy Father would want to see turn into reality. Michael said. I told you, didn't I? Naruto is an amazing person. Gabriel cheered after hearing her brother's affirmation. Serafal remained silent throughout these exchanges, before she looked at Naruto with a wide smile. That settles it. You should join me in filming Miracle Leviathan, Naruto. Awa, that speech was so inspiring. I bet that would be a hit in the underworld. Serafal gushed, with stars somehow appearing in her eyes. I'll think about it, Naruto said. With that out of the way, perhaps it's time for us to formally vote in agreement or disagreement of this peace treaty, Azazel suggested. I'll start. I support the peace treaty between the three factions, Azazel said. As do I, Michael said. Me too. Peace is great, Gabriel said. I affirm, Sirzex said with a nod. I affirm if Naruto would appear on my show, Serafal said, causing the other faction leaders to look at her strangely. Azazel laughed. Just show up in her show, kid. He said to Naruto. It's not like I haven't been on TV before, Naruto said. Ooh, can I watch Naruto on TV? Gabriel asked. Now, we're getting a little off topic, Naruto said, causing the angel to pout at the dismissal. With affirmative votes from the leaders of the angels, fallen angels, and devils, it is now official. There will be peace amongst our factions, Sirzex said with a smile. Thus began the long process of determining all the clauses and conditions for the peace treaty. All three factions have agreed to compromise to make things work. For the fallen angels, Azazel pledged to share their research of sacred gear with the angels and the devils. For the devils, they pledged to provide aid to the angels in their research towards a system similar to the evil peace system of the devils and a piece of territory to the fallen angels. For the angels, they pledged to aid the devils by giving Ascalon to the current Red Dragon Emperor, Issei Hyodo, as well as allowing former agents of heaven who were currently in devil employ to pray. There was more to the treaty, like settling previous disputes, but Naruto honestly did not care about that. All he cared about was the fact that peace was formally achieved between the factions. All they have to do is to weed out people Naruto has not taken care of yet, and it'll be easier now that there is a balance between the factions. After the paperwork was done and signed, Naruto brought up 5 clones who once again provided the faction leaders with food. Naruto, There's one thing I'd like to ask. What happened to Kokobeel's body and the Excalibur fragments? Searzex asked. Oh, that's right. Naruto summoned a sealing scroll and then unsealed the head of Kokobeel and the 3 Excalibur fragments. The bastard even threw Kokobeel's head at me. Hey, don't laugh at me, it still hurts. Azazel said and then glared at Naruto, who laughed upon recalling what he did to Azazel. That's what you get for being a creep, TT Ibeo. Naruto said before grabbing the 3 Excalibur fragments and offering them to Michael, who nodded and smiled at the gesture. Seraphal got up from her seat, walked towards the beheaded form of Kokobeel, and kicked it hard. That's what you get for trying to harm my Satan, she exclaimed, causing the other people in the room to look at her. Searzex shook his head. That's Seraphal for you, alright. I thought you'd do something similar, Searzex. Azazel teased the Mal Lucifer, who gave a shaky laugh. Searzex had to admit, it was tempting to follow suit, but he still has his dignity. The two then turned their heads in another direction as they saw Naruto chopping Seraphal on the top of her head, causing the Leviathan to drop to her knees. Both men dropped their jaws as they saw tears in Seraphal's eyes. Don't just casually destroy the walls in my house, Datbeo. Ah, that's why. Following Seraphal's magic-imbued kick, a massive hole replaced what used to be a wall. She definitely got carried away. The rest of the night went quietly as no further incidents occurred following Naruto's berating of Seraphal, and after exchanging pleasantries, the faction leaders began to leave after Naruto released the barrier he set up. Except for Gabriel. Are you not going back to heaven, sister? Michael asked. Nope, I'll sleep here, Gabriel declared, shock. Azazel was the first who got over the surprise. Naruto, you glorious bastard. He laughed and slung his arm over Naruto's shoulders and rubbed the teen's hair with his other hand. It's not like that, you asshole. Gabriel still has white wings and a halo, doesn't she? Michael then said, well actually, Father made Gabriel the only angel incapable of falling. Naruto's eyes widened. That was news to him. Azazel then whispered to the blonde, then what are you waiting for? Go get her, you dog. Only to receive a heavy punch to his stomach courtesy of Naruto. Take it easy on this old man, damn it, Azazel said before waving Naruto goodbye. Searzex and Michael followed suit, leaving Naruto with Gabriel and Seraphal. Hello, Seraphal, Gabriel greeted the Mao. At least I'll be his heroine on TV. Seraphal stuck her tongue out at Gabriel, who was confused. Seraphal then left with her magic circle, leaving Naruto and Gabriel alone. I wonder what that was all about, Naruto thought to himself. Probably found you interesting, Kurama said as he yawned. The fox slept throughout the meeting because he found it boring. 5 minutes later, Naruto heard a knock on his door, which he opened and was met with Ophis, who had an unreadable expression on her face. What are you doing here? I'm not killing Great Red, if that's what you're here for. Naruto said, pinching the bridge of his nose as he felt another headache heading his way. I'm mad, Ophis said. Naruto raised his eyebrows at the dragon, whose tone remained emotionless despite declaring she was mad. You put up a barrier in your house. My hair got ruined, Ophis continued, and that's when Naruto noticed it. Ophis' hair was burnt, probably because she tried forcing her way into the barrier. Oh, my bad, Naruto said, not exactly sure what to make of this situation. Gabriel, noticing the commotion, went to the front door and blinked her eyes. As airheaded as she was, she knows danger when she sees it. Why is Ophis here? She thought to herself. But the angel didn't do anything because she does not feel particularly hostile towards Ophis, or feel any hostility from her, and even if she was, Naruto would probably beat her. Dumb angel, Ophis said, a finger raised towards Gabriel. Gabriel was dumbfounded at the sudden insult. Stay away. The dragon then pointed at Naruto. He's mine, she finished. Naruto chopped Ophis on the top of her head following her declaration. What the hell are you talking about, Datbeo? Ophis looked up at the blonde and said, I'm not going to ask you to kill Great Red anymore. Okay, that's good, so what's up? Naruto asked. You will make babies with me, Ophis declared. Oh my, Gabriel said, a hand on her mouth as she let out a giggle. I followed your orders. I will no longer give snakes to those evil people, and I took back all the snakes I gave. Office said. And what does that have to do with making babies? Naruto asked. It's my reward, Office said. Naruto stared at Office for a good 5 seconds, before slamming the door in her face. Era, it seems like you've got plenty of women interested in you. But you're not paying them any attention. Does this mean you're... Gabriel teased him. You saw my beep erect hours ago. That should tell you I'm not gay. Naruto blankly said, not caring at all about what he just said. The blonde then climbed up the stairs to get some rest, leaving behind a blushing Angel who just realized the implications of what he said. What a headache this night was turning out to be. At least I got Office to take away all those annoying snakes. Naruto thought to himself before drifting to sleep. Thank you for watching.